Happy Halloween, travel advisors. Welcome to KHM Today, your weekly go-to resource for industry news and straight up fun. I am your host, Carolyn Orff, and we are celebrating Halloween today, even though it's a couple days early. But thanks for being here today. We have some really amazing special guests. But before we get to those, let's talk about a little bit of a few things that have been in the news. First up, you guys, we saw it loud and clear in the last 48 hours, some changes to protocols for those entering the United States from international destinations. So make sure you're reviewing the CDC with the White House's latest proclamation on this. So my understanding is for vaccinated travelers, you must take a test 3 days prior to entering back into the United States. There's no change there, except for the fact that that piece is just for vaccinated travelers. For unvaccinated travelers, we're at 1 day prior. So it'll be interesting to see how hotels, specifically in Mexico and the Caribbean, handle this switch. My latest information says that hotels are not going to be asking about vaccination status. They're going to give guests the information on how to coordinate and set up their test on site. And from there, it is up to the traveler to pick the day and time that works for their status. So it's important that we educate ourselves, that we educate our clients on the process, but just a quick heads up there. Second, I want to share this next photo with all of you. Some of you might have seen this as it's taken social media by storm. This lady apparently thought that it was appropriate or most comfortable for her to drape her hair over the back of the seat on the airplane. What are your thoughts? Appropriate, inappropriate, gross? Who knows? I don't know. I think it's gross. She's reminding me a bit of Wednesday from the Addams Family. I don't know what I would do in this situation, but let's see what our first guest thinks. Live from Turks and Caicos, Bryan Overmann, our Midwest Regional Coordinator for KHM Travel Group. Welcome, Bryan.
Hello, hello.
How are you today?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks
Good.
for having me.
We don't see you just yet.
I clicked the button.
Let's see. It might take a minute. But while we're waiting, there we are.
There we go. Hey, everybody.
We should say that this segment is sponsored by Sandals Resort, celebrating 40 years of luxury all-inclusive vacations. Okay, what do you think? What do you think of the picture? Gross, appropriate, inappropriate? What would you do?
Totally inappropriate. I think I'd chew a big wad of bubble gum or hair.
Uh-oh, we might have to have you take your webcam off because you're breaking up a little bit. We might just have to talk to you this time. Let's start. Can you hear me okay?
That's what I would do.
There we're going. So you're breaking up just a little bit, Bryan, so we might need you to turn your webcam off just so the connection isn't bad. But let's start with jealous. Doesn't even begin to explain the feelings that I'm having right now as you're sitting in Turks and Caicos. What brought you to Beaches Turks and Caicos, and what are your first impressions?
Well, first impressions, when I walked out to the beach, the water is actually absolutely stunning. It is the most crystal clear water I've seen throughout the Caribbean. It's breathtaking. It's like a postcard or a brochure. It really is as pretty in person as it is in the brochures that they send out.
And this can be hurricane season. Have you experienced any kind of weather?
So far, so good. I mean, it's been sunny every day, no rain whatsoever.
Awesome. Now we know that Beaches is known for like the tons of activities that are included. What have you guys done so far? Because you're there with your adult daughter and your wife, right?
Correct. We've only snorkeled every day, but tonight we're taking a sunset cruise on a catamaran. I do scuba dive, but my daughter and wife does not scuba dive, so I elected not to bring my stuff down. So, but I mean, if you're an avid diver, you get 2 tanks a day. That's included in your price. So, I mean, that's well worth it. That's a couple $100 right there, and that's per person. So, awesome. If you're a diver, this is a place to come.
And what village are you staying in?
We're in the Italian village. So we're right in the middle of everything. I'm actually sitting in the tower over the bar at the pool is where I'm sitting right now.
So jealous. So overall, your impressions, the food's been great, accommodations meet your expectations. You couldn't be having a better time.
Correct. Yeah, I'm here on points to paradise. So they actually put us in a one-bedroom family concierge suite. So I mean, it's wonderful. It sleeps 7 people, and there's only 3 of us, so
Oh my
we have plenty
gosh.
of room to move around.
That's amazing. So let me ask you this. I consider myself a fairly budget conscious person when it comes to most things. Travel is not one of them. Travel is one area where if I feel like I'm getting more value or bang for my buck, or I just love the room category, that's what I go with. We know that Beaches, Turks and Caicos tends to price higher than other resorts, including Beaches Negril and Ocho Rios. Are you seeing the value there? Are you seeing why this is what it is?
Absolutely. Like I said, the water just speaks for itself. And like I said, if you're a diver, I mean, all the sandals and beaches have the diving, but this here with the water being so clear, it's wonderful. And this resort here is so big. It's just under 800 rooms. It sits on 74 acres. It's got a huge water park. It's got 24 restaurants, 16 bars, 10 swimming pools. So, I mean, if you can't find something to do here, you have a problem. I mean, it's truly a nice resort.
And do you feel overrun? I mean, I know this is how I originally found the Beaches product was by quite honestly watching Sesame Street with my kids. Do you feel, but you're there, you have older kids, like, you don't feel inundated with the Sesame brand, right?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, we've seen Ernie a couple times, and every evening they have a show for the kids about 6 o'clock. Tonight's actually a parade. They go down the main street at 6:30 with all the characters. But yeah, it's not where they're in your face all the time. You really have to go out and look for.
Awesome. All right, we see that you're breaking up. Are you able to turn your camera around real quick to just give us, you know, a view of what we're missing out on
Absolutely. Let's see here.
so that we
See
can
if
be
I can
even
figure
more
this out.
jealous? Oh my
Well, here's the
gosh.
beach. You see the water in the background.
Yes.
That's the Barefoot Restaurant that's on the beach. And then we'll go to the other side of the tower. So that's where my office has been for the last several days.
Yeah, jealous, 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 jealous. That
Yeah,
looks
beautiful.
stunning. Uh, Bryan, thank you so much for taking the time to and interrupting your
No
vacation to
problem.
be with us today.
No problem, Carolyn. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, you guys, take care. Have a great and
Take
safe
care. All right.
vacation.
We'll do.
Oh, you guys,
Bye bye.
as much as I love doing it, it's so hard because my gosh, I just get so jealous and want to be there. So, this next lady has been with us the entire month, sharing her love and her joy for all things Halloween. Please welcome back to KHM today, Ashley Newton. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Carolyn. I am so happy to be back and hopefully inspiring anybody who needs it with some last minute costume ideas.
Well, and what I
Because
think is hilarious is we know you're in your home. Did you put this backdrop off just for the show, or does Jason, Freddie, and who's the other one? That one's from Halloween. Who's that guy?
Michael,
Yes. Do they always grace your wall during Halloween?
they do. I actually bought these off of a very talented artist friend of mine, and I saw them and I could not resist, so I got them for my boyfriend. So they
Oh
are
my
up all the time. They're really cool Halloween prints. Like they're actually hand drawn, so they're not prints. I'm just not used to having real art, so that's just something I say. But if you are once again listening on our podcast, I'm going to try and be as descriptive as possible, but it's worth going to YouTube just to check out this backdrop, I'm telling you.
Perfect. So I always get a last minute invitation to a Halloween party and I'm a team player, clearly. So this is how I end up with different heads and different costumes, but you've got some ideas today for last minute costumes that we likely have these items already in our closet. Although I see a pink boa and I can tell you I don't own one of those. So, what do you have for us?
All right, yes. I'm going to walk through several different looks based on three different sort of mainstay articles of clothing or looks that you probably already have or maybe just have access to. You know, you can hit up a friend. You did already mention the boa. We will get there, but I'll just go ahead and tell you now, if you don't have a pink boa in your closet, you never know when you could need one in an emergency. So go out and get yourself a hot pink boa. So the first
on Amazon right now.
The first staple we're going to be working around is just a basic floral pattern. So I'm going to whip out a floral dress here. This is just, it's got some cap sleeves, some buttons on the front. It's a high-low. I really like that style. And it's yellow with like red flowers on top. And our first look that we're going to do is just a classic flower child look. So you can see I've already sort of paired it with these big oversized sort of pea-sized medallions. I had these round glasses that are, you know, kind of classic 70s vibe. And to take it one step further, because, you know, you're working with regular clothes, so how do you really make it stand out? I would pair it with this sweater that has a lot of sort of intricate, you know, embroidery, and, you know, it's already coming together. And I live in Ohio, so we're always looking for an excuse to layer up during this time of year. And then our final piece, because I happen to have one lying around, would be a tambourine.
Of course you do.
Of course I do. It was a challenge not to pull. It was a challenge not to go strictly for my costume box, Carolyn. I know we've talked about this. You have a lot of stuff laying around, so it was hard to try to stick to regular clothes, but I'm gonna try.
I love it.
So that's look number one. And for our next couple of looks, you could stick with that same floral dress if you want to, but I'm gonna mix it up because floral happens to be the one thing I wear aside from black, so I happen to have a couple of them. So this is another floral dress, again, real basic look. And if you wanted to, you could pair it with this floral crown here, and then bam, your Mother Nature. 2 seconds and you're done.
I love it.
If you don't have that accessory, but you still have the dress, and this one I chose specifically because it has a lot of like rose sort of flowers looking on it. So bam, pair it with a bottle of rosé and your rosé. And you're coming with a party.
I love it.
So
I love play on words. I love play on words like smarty pants, where you just like attach Smarties to your pants.
Yes, and sometimes those are the easiest costumes, and they get like a big reaction because it makes people think and it makes them laugh, and that's sort of what Halloween's all about, right?
Yep.
So at the end of each one, I'm gonna do what I call a bonus look for my love of TV and my love of movies, because, you know, we all have characters we can pull from. So even if you don't know who I'm talking about, maybe think about characters that you know or fun things like that. So I'm gonna take the same floral dress that has the roses on it, pair it with a hot pink cardigan, not my hot pink boa, we'll get there. Some big, bold, beautiful glasses and a nice thick frame like that, a nice chunky necklace, and I'm Penelope Garcia from Criminal Minds, one of my all-time favorite shows. But if I were to be Penelope, to really do her justice, I would need to find some really cool heels, because she is always rocking it in the shoe department. So that's another thing you can think of that like just elevates, you know, if you can rock some good shoes, that almost makes the whole look worth it. So that's my floral. So now we're gonna move to my next look, which I think is probably one of the most fun basic looks, and that is a flannel and jeans. Come on, does it get simpler than that?
So you're the bounty man?
No.
Yes. Oh, look, I picked it right. Yes.
Yep, so you grab some paper towels, throw them under you. Again, who doesn't want an extra roll of paper towels at their party? So you're done. Now, if you wanted to be extra fun, bring in a pizza and you're a pizza guy. I just don't happen to have a pizza with me on hand.
Very good.
Another thing you could do here to really elevate this would be a little bit, I'll say, complex of a makeup look, to go for a scarecrow sort of look. Maybe put your hair in pigtails, you know, just do those little dots, those little circles on your cheeks, maybe some stitching around your mouth. If you can do that, I'm really not good at makeup, so I usually avoid those sort of looks. And then if you have straw, you know, you could stick it in your pockets. If you don't have straw, fun hack is just cut up a bunch of brown paper bags, and it looks pretty much the same. So that's another look you can do with this. And then for our bonus looks, oh my gosh, what character, what show does not have somebody who's always rocking a flannel, right? Throw on a baseball cap and grab a cup of coffee, and you can be Luke from Gilmore Girls. Put on a tool belt and you're anybody from Home Improvement. A leather jacket and a fake weapon, and you're anybody from Supernatural. I mean, the list just keeps going. So lots of ideas for your basic flannel and jeans.
Very good. Okay, you have like, I know that this is supposed to be like not so far outside the box, but like this is outside the box for me. This is good.
Well, I'm gonna go through some basics now because as you can tell, I'm wearing all black. So now that's our last piece. All black from head to toe. What can you do with that? So I'm sure you're probably already thinking of a few. So I gotta acknowledge them. The witch,
The witch.
done.
Yep.
And like I said, if you're good with makeup, that can really take you from a basic witch to a non-basic witch, right? You could do really cool stars or like something where you look kind of haunted. I can't, but I encourage you to check it out. Uh, if you don't want to be a witch, maybe you have some cat ears or bat ears or anything like that. Super simple, done. Maybe some cute pumps to like elevate your experience there. And then I don't have fangs, but you
Yep.
could throw in some fangs, maybe some fake blood. If you do go for a vampire look, I like to go for like more of the gothic sort of romantic look. So I might take off the top sweater I have on and put this shirt underneath my black dress because it has these really dramatic sleeves that I like. So, just layering and stuff like that can take you from one look to another. And then I have this really cool piece of jewelry that I would wear if I were a vampire. And I actually wore it today for KHM's costume contest. It is like a bracelet that comes up into 4 separate rings. And each one has like a little fake nail on top that's all like bedazzled.
Oh
So
my
like
goodness.
this statement piece could pretty much be like a costume in and of itself. Like it's really cool.
Wow.
So those are a bunch of things you can just do with the black. But if you've heard of all of those and you're still not like inspired yet, I have a few more. So one, really simple, add a mask and you're going to the masquerade. You're really fancy now. And if you happen to have them lying around or you have time to run to the store, get some of these dramatic long opera gloves. It really just makes the whole thing like so much fancier. Like I feel fancy already and they're just really fun to wear.
I love
All
how
right,
you use the word elevate when it comes to costumes. I love that.
well, you gotta mix it up. You gotta personalize it.
Yep.
And now the pink boa I actually brought out because of one of my bonus looks from a TV show called The Umbrella Academy on Netflix. And one of the main characters, Klaus, he's seen with this iconic look where he has this pink boa on. Again, you'd have to do a little bit of makeup, even just eyeliner on your hands there, because he has like tattoos to mimic that. But again, just get yourself a boa. They're so fun.
I love it.
And I have to close this out. I dropped it on the floor here. There it is. With my paper crown again, because who doesn't like to be an evil queen? And if you don't want to be an evil queen, maybe you want to be a pirate queen. So you go ahead and add a little eye patch there. I have a gold crown that I made out of polymer clay for another costume I did, which was why I have the eye patch, because if you watch The Magicians and you know who High Queen Margot is, love her, so I had to be her last year. And again, with that, it's all about what you pair with it. So I would go with a lot of gold jewelry. I have this big chunky belt here that kind of screams pirate to me, you know what I mean? So you probably have a lot of this stuff and you just didn't think to necessarily pair it together.
Yeah.
So I hope that I've inspired you to head to your closet or raid your friend's closet.
I don't know actually if I've ever heard someone say, I made this crown out of polymer clay for another costume. I don't know that I will ever hear someone say that again, but I appreciate your talent for doing all this and your passion for Halloween because it's really quite fun and I've enjoyed our month together.
Oh, I have had so much fun, and I hope that I've inspired some people to get out of their comfort zone or like reconnect with that little like kid inside of you that wants to just be creative and be expressive and have a good time. And if I have, please let me know. Find us on social media at KHM Travel Group or use our hashtag KHM Today. If you try any of these or just want to share your costume looks with us, I would absolutely love to see it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween, everybody.
Ah, gosh, I love it. And sometimes I just don't feel creative enough. So, thank you, Ashley, for being here. Our next guest is the Senior Director for Destination Marketing for Holland America. Please welcome Bill Fletcher. Bill, welcome.
Hey,
Yes.
Carolyn, can you hear me?
Not very well. I think you have to put it on your head.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm so happy to be here today. And as you introduced me, I was scrambling for a costume after Ashley's segment. Oh my gosh,
Right?
so inspiring. So
Inspiring, and I love that passion, and she has it for all things Halloween. We've enjoyed that all month long, different crafts and drinks all month long as she has shared her joy for the holiday with us. So, but we appreciate you being here. um we want to let advisors know that, part of your job at Holland America is to execute innovative cruise marketing and sales strategies. That's pretty intense, along with executing small group expedition experiences. So, this whole year and a half, I feel like advisors, there's a little bit of a struggle with staying consistent with our marketing message and what that should be, since every day we are kind of faced with a new challenge. Has Holland America, what has their message been for, has the message stayed consistent as it's always been, or have you had to shift in the last year and a half?
well, Carolyn, our identity as a cruise line is a little bit different than a lot of our fellow competitors in the industry, in that we really consider ourselves to be first and foremost a destination cruise line. You know, we were the transatlantic carrier for 100 years, going from Holland to America. We carried more people across the Atlantic than any other source of transportation. So even from our earliest days, we were about the places that we delivered our guests to. And then as we evolved into the cruise company that we are today, we've really retained that and resisted the temptation to, go with water slides and wave pools and go-karts on board, in favor of really honing our onboard experience, the elegance and refinement of the environment of our mid-sized ships, the incredible food, the great entertainment, but more than anything, I focus on the destinations that we visit so that we prepare our guests to get the most out of their experiences when they come with us.
So
And
that's
that's
really interesting,
to answer
because
your,
a
I
lot
was
of our
gonna,
a lot of the cruise lines, the ship has become the destination.
right, right. And so that's made it a bit easier for us to answer your first question about what have we done to keep our audience engaged over the last year and a half, rather than just continually talking about how great these ships are that we're not able to sail. We were able to talk about the destinations that we visit. We did lots of virtual cruise presentations where we took our guests who were eager to come back on board with us on itineraries all over the world virtually by webinar presentation. And it's really been great to remain engaged, and even greater, of course, now that we're able to get back to the business of showing people in person the most beautiful places of the world.
So, and you are really specifically an Alaska destination specialist as well. And, there is a beautiful 40-minute video out there that we will make sure that you all have the link to, um, that really talks about the Alaska product. And what is it about Alaska that you feel like cruisers are constantly saying it's their favorite cruise destination? People do it multiple times. What is it about Alaska that makes people go, wow?
Well, it's interesting. It's the same thing that inspired us to build our first purpose-built cruise ship specifically for Alaska. I talked about how we were a transatlantic steamship company for the first 100 years of our history. When we evolved to be the cruise company that we are today, we looked around the world for the most perfect cruise destination, and we chose Alaska. And I think it's as true today as it was way back then. It's a place where you're winding your way through 15,000 islands of the Inside Passage. So what you've come to see is all around you all the time, whether it's the mountain peaks and the glaciers spilling down to the sea, or the iconic little towns, or a bear wandering on the beach, or a whale breaching off the bow. Unlike a lot of places that I love to cruise, the ports are fascinating and beautiful and interesting, but then in between, it's a lot of cruising open ocean, which affords wonderful opportunities for sunsets and sunrises, but nowhere that I've ever found is more immersive the entire time that you're on the ship as an Alaska cruise, because it's all around you all the time. And that's one of my best pieces of advice, is to encourage people to get out on deck, or even better, of course, book a veranda. I don't think there's a better place in the world to have a balcony stateroom, because as I say, you can be reading a book and watching for all the things that inspired you to come on this cruise vacation all at the same time on your private balcony.
How did you choose Alaska? You just mentioned how Holland chose Alaska, but how did you
Yeah.
come to become this expert?
Well, it's funny. Alaska kind of chose me. I was in college. I was a pre-med student. My roommate went to Alaska for a summer job, and he went up to drive tour buses in Alaska for Holland America. And he came back, and I've never seen, at that age, I'd never seen anybody so impacted by any single experience. And I just had to do it. So I went up for a summer job. In fact, I have a picture of me here holding a piece of the Mendenhall Glacier. I know a lot of your advisors have probably been to Alaska, and if you have, you've very likely been to the Mendenhall Glacier. This is a picture of me in, gosh, 1983. I'm really dating myself now, holding a piece of the Mendenhall. And that was a summer that literally changed the course of my life. I was so switched on to not just travel in general, but this place that I'd found, and sharing it with visitors was the most fun I'd ever had. And long story short, here I am almost 40 years later, essentially doing the same thing. I actually wore my moose hat that I have on here during those years as a motor coach commander. So it's all very much a full circle story for me, and I couldn't be more happy with my career choice.
One of the things you shared with me this morning when we were talking before the show was that Holland is celebrating 75 years in service, which is amazing and a milestone. And one thing I did not know was that Holland America actually were kind of the pioneers in sailing Glacier Bay. They're one of the few lines that still touch Glacier Bay because they were grandfathered in before it became a national park. I had no idea that I don't know. I guess I always think national parks have always been national parks, but that's not the case.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's so many things that we have privileged access to for the fact that we've been cruising there for so long and doing our land programs since actually before Alaska was even a state. Holland America Line is celebrating 149 years in business next year, and for 75 of those years, we've been showing visitors the best of Alaska. And perhaps the best example is the one you brought up, Glacier Bay National Park. In my opinion, and in most of our guests' opinion, it is like the must-see highlight on an Alaska cruise. Of course, the ports are amazing and quirky and fun and interesting, but the spectacle of Glacier Bay National Park, a full day of cruising with rivers of ice spilling down from the mountains above, a national park ranger on board to interpret it and explain it all. We even have a native speaker from the nearby village of Huna who comes on board and talks about how their people have lived in this area. This is their ancestral homeland for 10,000 years. So it's just one of those days that you won't ever forget. And we're privileged not only to have access to Glacier Bay. Many cruise lines that go to Alaska, if you don't see Alaska on their itineraries, it's because they don't have permission to go there. Every cruise line wants to go to Glacier Bay. And Holland America is privileged, as you say, to have more permissions than anybody else, because we were going there even before it was a national park. And that means for our guests and for your clients that we can put it on more itineraries, so they have more choice about whether they want to have a Glacier Bay experience on a round trip Seattle cruise, on a Vancouver cruise, or on one of our cruise tours.
It's amazing. So you have a very interesting background, and from speaking just a few minutes ago, it makes it sound like, oh, I've always been at Holland America, but you actually are a certified wilderness guide as well, which in my mind makes me think that this guy's just going to grab his backpack and run out the door and hit the nearest forest and just start walking. But yet you work for a company where everything is packaged and planned and very experiential, but not quite grab a backpack and run out the door. How has that mentality transferred over into how you're able to shape some of the things that happened at Holland America as far as experiences go?
Well, I think part of that is a function of just my tenure in the industry, if you will. In the 80s and 90s, the experiences that were offered to cruise guests, not just in Alaska, but most places in the world, were some variation on a sightseeing bus theme, right? I know when I started driving buses in Alaska, it was either the Juneau City Tour or the Mendenhall Glacier Tour. Those were like 95% of the options that a cruise guest had. But here we are on the doorstep of Alaska's wilderness And as a young man, I just wanted to get out and see those wild places. So in those days, the only real opportunity to do that was to do, as you say, strap a backpack on and start hiking. And then over time, what we realized, and I think what the industry realized, is that more and more cruise guests want to experience what people who live in a destination love about that place and what they love to do in their free time. And so slowly but surely, and I was fortunate to have a hand in some of these tours first being introduced, we started selling things like, river rafting experiences and mountain biking and hiking tours. And in the 90s, they started to take off. It was kind of categorized as a separate portfolio of soft adventure product. And then fast forward to today, and as I've grown and aged myself, of course, like most people, I've come to appreciate the comforts of coming home to a beautiful room and a bed and great service and having entertainment at my fingertips. So today you can cruise with us anywhere in the world and with most cruise lines, honestly, and find opportunities that range from the mild to the wild. There's literally something for everyone, and it really affords the perfect opportunity for multi-generational travel, because those older folks that really do just want to go on the sightseeing tour and get the overview of a place still have that available to them. And other members of the same party can go out and go rock climbing or zip lining or dog sledding or any number of crazy over-the-top experiences that don't require that you strap on a backpack and your hiking boots. It's all packaged so that it's delivered in a way where you don't have to worry about anything except for just having the time of your life and building memories with your loved ones.
So, being in the marketing field, what do you feel advisors are doing right now? And what do you feel like there is something that we could be doing better?
Oh, I think we've all struggled over the last 18 months to know what to say, because things change so rapidly. Our ships, as you all know, were parked for the last almost year and a half. And so to remain engaged with your clients, to give them optimism and hope that we are coming out of this, and I can tell you that we're clawing our way back. There may be setbacks, there probably will be, but we are moving forward. By the end of the year, we'll have half of our fleet back in service. I was just down in Las Vegas at the Alaska Media Roadshow, which is the top travel writers in the country come together with Alaska partners such as myself to talk about what's new in Alaska. And they were telling me, and I shared with you earlier, Carolyn, that their editors, for the first time in the last month or so, are welcoming stories about travel and Alaska in particular, which is a really good sign, because obviously they're incredibly tuned in to what their audience is looking for in their publications. So I think that everybody's been doing the best that they can. And right now, the exciting opportunity is that you can sell with confidence. Everything that we have published right now, we have really high confidence that we're going to operate. And I can't say that even a month or two ago, we had that level of confidence, just because the speed with which the rules were changing all around the world. I mean, imagine all the ports and places that we have to comply with the regulations and the protocols and all the rest of it. So it really does feel like we're on a great track right now, probably not without its setbacks, but I think that Alaska in particular is really suited to appeal to those people, like almost all of us, that have been inside four walls for the last year and a half. If you want to go someplace where there's wide open spaces and the freshest air you've ever breathed, and experiences that get you out there, no place in the world, in my opinion, even comes close to Alaska for that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Before I let you go, I do want to ask you, what would you have done with the lady's hair over the back of the seat?
Oh, I was thinking, and this is I probably wouldn't have done this, but I would have wanted to have opened that tray table really gently and stuck at least a little bit of her hair in the tray table and then locked it back up again. I think that would send the message loud and clear when she went to stand up that that wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, ouch, for sure. Thank you so much for being here. We hope to see you soon in Alaska. Have a great Halloween.
Oh, thanks, Carolyn. Thanks for having me. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Oh, you guys, when people talk about destinations and they're so passionate about it, I feel transported. It's really amazing. Um, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome our next guest to KHM today. Please welcome Jamie Turner, Michelle Handel, and Shalise Moser, 3 KHM agents who are here to discuss creative ways to get a group going. We have teamwork makes the dream work. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Carolyn.
So I want to share with everyone how I found you, and of course I have Shalise has been on before to talk Disney. Jamie, you've been on a couple times. Michelle, I met you just a couple weeks ago at KTA
The first time.
for the first time, but a couple weeks before that, I saw this video that you posted on Facebook regarding this group, this land-based group that you have going in December to visit the Christmas markets in Europe. And I just thought it was the coolest thing because, in all honesty, I really hadn't seen 3 travel advisors before work together on something to make it go. So I want to ask you, how did this all come about? Let's start there. Shalise.
Okay. So Michelle and I did a FAM with one of our suppliers back in April 2019, Michelle. And we really loved the product. We really liked our our tour director. And we kind of started talking like we should do a tour. We should do our own customized group. And we decided that we wanted to work together to do it because we felt more confident in filling the space on this bus, doing it together. So
and I believe that you wanted that same tour guide as well. Is that correct?
we did. We actually talked to him then, and he started helping create this itinerary, this custom itinerary. And then we had to go through the actual process of requesting him. But he has been there from the very get-go, helping us create this itinerary.
And Michelle,
He
how
knows
did you
Europe from front to back, so to have
Really?
him tell us exactly which Christmas markets were the best to see for our clients was invaluable.
And Michelle, why these ladies? And I know, Jamie, you came in a little bit after the tour had been kind of set up, but why work as a group?
Well, we started out as friends, of course, so we've met through different industry events. And so, like I said, we were on the Poland tour together. And so that kind of helped bond us. And then once we all kind of formed a friendship and a bond, it just worked out. And I guess Jamie and I started it. And then since then, we've added Jamie. I'm on several other groups with Jamie now. So the 3 of us have groups, and then 1 or 2 of us have groups, and we have several kind of scheduled for the next, I think,
Couple years.
2023 at least.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, besides being able to fill the bus, and I should ask you that, because we're now kind of in these, we are in these COVID times, does the bus have to be full now? Like, what is considered a full bus when you're basically doing a tour like this and it's just your clients?
So
I think
we
it depends on the product, because currently we could have anywhere from 16 to, I think, 40. 32.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So besides selling those seats, why would you want to work together?
Well, like I said, it helped guarantee that we'd fill the required space on it. But I think honestly that was probably the biggest thing, because we booked this 2.5 years ago. So kind
And
of
then we found that we all just have different strengths that we bring to the table. And one of us is super organized with the details. One of us is great writing emails and dealing with any problems that might come up. And one of us is really great at just filling the spots.
And I feel, even though you're looking at the screen, you're looking at Jamie. Jamie, how do you fill spots? Why is this your talent?
I don't know. I'm just so thankful that they asked me to do this with them. And I will just say this, we were all friends first, and we talked to you about that before this show. We love to just be together, the 3 of us traveling. So, I mean, gosh, to get to do this amazing trip with your friends is wonderful. But I don't know. I think I've just had some really good luck the last couple of years. I kind of focused my personal business on Obviously, I sell everything, but if I'm going to promote something, it's going to be group space. And so I've had good success with that. And so maybe that's why they felt like they could bring me on. But we have styles, I think, that complement one another. We've all traveled literally the world together, stayed in rooms together. So we just know how each other operates, and we're incredibly comfortable interacting with each other's clients. So it's just an easy thing. But I think they just brought me on, to fill out the bus. I think that's what it was.
And we love her.
We do.
What you've said is so important, and I hope everyone's listening and listening very closely, is that you want to surround yourself by people who are like-minded in your business, that you can feel comfortable speaking with your clients. The joy of this industry is that we all get to do things our own way, but there does come a time where you want to find people that do it closer to your way, so that if something, if you need coverage or something like that, or you want to do something like this as a partnership, you kind of know those people that are going to roll with you, and it's going to be smooth sailing. So I appreciate that. And I love the mindset of friendship first. And then you knew that this would work as a whole. And it has worked. You've got a full bus, right?
As full as we want it.
As full as we want it. Yep. That's great.
Yep.
So how did you market this? Did you each kind of do your own thing, or did you come up with a plan together?
Originally, the supplier actually put together a really nice flyer that they put our logos on. So we were able to advertise it to our clients individually, which was fantastic. And then it wasn't until August, September that we all were in Budapest together that we went to our first hotel and decided, let's do one more push. Let's make this little video. We're in destination. Let's share with our clients that Europe is open, and try to get a few more bookings that way. And that was really kind of neat, being able to be in destination to do that. So we've done it separately for the last year and a half or so, and then together there at the end. Which
and did that final push result in anything?
Interest, I don't know if we got any more bookings up. I didn't. It's definitely lots of nibbles, but then they decided for 2023. So for next year, yes.
And to me, that's
I think I firmed up my last booking while we were on the trip, literally. So, I don't know that it created that new booking, but I firmed it up when we were there.
I love it. So what have you guys learned from this? Any big takeaways?
If you're going to do a group with other agents, there needs to be the friendship and the level of trust. You need to go into it with your eyes open, how to work with, really with KHM's commission department, and how we're going to, how that all works. That was one of the first things that we had to figure out, because we all wanted credit for our own bookings. We didn't want it to go to one person. That's huge as a travel agent. We want that on ourselves. We want to earn our own commission. But I trust these ladies completely, 100%, and I'm looking forward to groups that we've talked about or have planned for the next couple of years.
Love it. So obviously you do this again, and I know that you do have plans to do it again. Anything you've learned that you were like, "Ooh, we should have done that differently," and moving forward, we're gonna work on that piece?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. They came to me with a plan for this trip. So this is my first trip working with the two of them, so to speak, traveling. We're leaving here just in what? 6 weeks, guys, 5-6 weeks, something like that. Beginning of December. But Shalisa and I have worked together in the past, putting stuff together for the spring. She and I have a river cruise group together in April. Michelle and I have an Ireland group in the fall. We have an Italy group. Shalisa, Michelle, and I are talking about 2020. We're talking about 2024. I think that's the thing that people really need to take away is, if you're going to work with other agents, these things don't happen overnight. I mean, the friendship and that level of trust takes time to develop. But once you decide to step into doing groups with other people, you know what it takes to plan a trip on your own. You've got 3 personalities, you've got 3 brains, you've got 3 different approaches coming at it. So ironing out those details, that's one thing. And I got lucky because I came in after they had already done that. But our planning process for things down the road, I mean, I just know that there's really not been a negative. This trip originally was supposed to have happened last December, but due to COVID, we had to, cancel it and reschedule it for this year. But between the 3 of us, I think it's been just smooth. I mean, there's not really been any hiccups or bumps. And so I know we're talking about stuff already into 2024. And so it's just, think about what you want to do. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but start looking 18 months out from now, 2 years from now, start making a game plan and working towards that. And then just always keep that going.
And Michelle, you had some advice yesterday. If you don't remember it, let me know and I'll tell you what you said. But you had some advice for people who are perhaps newer and don't have the network yet of friends and colleagues to make something like this happen. What's that first step in your mind?
I think there's 2 different steps. First of all, get your friends. So sign up for boot camps and destination successes and go to the event like we just had with the KHM get together. So that's your first step. And really all you have to do is show up, and people are super friendly and, willing to pull you in. So, and then after that, I would start small with the groups. I know we probably all started individually with our own groups. Cruising for me is kind of how I started, just pulling group space for 8 cabins and kind of filling those. So that kind of got me into the mindset of groups. And now working with the 3 of these ladies, I think what I'm working on moving forward is trying to come up with different marketing formats where I can market and show all my groups. So clients can see I have 3, 4, 5 different groups and what they're most interested in, because I've been up to this point marketing them individually.
And do you feel like you have to go on these groups as well? I mean, that's kind of a bonus, but do you feel like you have to kind of be that escort?
In the past, yes. Mostly I go because I have a travel addiction and I want to. But besides that, at this point, working with these ladies, if there was a trip that I could not go on, I would feel completely comfortable that they would take care of my clients just as I would, and I would take care of theirs.
You guys, this has been so wonderful. I've been doing this for almost, 14 years this month now, and I always feel like I learned something new. And I've never worked with someone before on a trip, and I feel inspired to do so now. But thank you, all 3 of you. Enjoy this trip, and we're going to have you come on, I think, after the fact, because I will be on a river cruise around that same time. So I want to compare some notes. I think it would be really interesting to hear the land experience versus the river cruise experience, seeing those Christmas markets. So I hope you'll come back and join me maybe later in December.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
guys have the best time and enjoy Savannah. These ladies are going to
Thank
Savannah
you.
to enjoy ASTA's conference down there, destination conference. So have the best time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
See you
much.
guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
Carolyn.
All righty. And have a wonderful Halloween.
Thanks.
Next up is one of our favorites. Matt Walgren from the education team is here to help us celebrate Halloween with Matt's Compass favorite spooky destinations. This segment is sponsored by Princess Cruise Line, home of the Medallion class. Hi, Matt. Or I should say, hi, Spidey. You guys have to see when we were coming onto the show. I mean, we just started as soon as he logged on. I just died. That's so funny. You look fantastic.
How's my hair?
I love it. I love it. You're the perfect Spider-Man. So, where are you taking us today on this spooky Halloween?
Oh boy, can you hear me okay? Maybe I should take this off.
It's up to you. As long as you can breathe, we can hear you.
I'll take it off. Okay, now my hair's messed up. So I've got 3 places. The first one is Sleepy Hollow. Yes, it is a real place located in New York, and of course it is where the legend of Sleepy Hollow story was created. It was part of a series of publications that were published in 1820, and this has been one of the most spookiest places in America ever since. It's great during this time because they really beef up all their Halloween offerings, and of course you get the fall colors, so that's awesome. There are ghost tours, there's history tours, there's an experience where you walk through the woods and it's kind of scary and spooky but a lot of fun. And then they, of course, they have this great jack-o'-lantern production that they do every year with 7,000 jack-o'-lanterns all lit up and lights and different things going on. So it's a really cool place that I think a lot of people don't think of to go to on Halloween, or maybe even ever. But it's really fun during the season.
Awesome. Okay, now this next one we've all heard about, but you've actually been.
Oh, okay. I know where you're going. Okay,
Yeah.
my next one was something different, but yes, I'll go. The next one is Transylvania in Romania. So I had the opportunity to go there about 15 years ago or so. It is where Dracula was born. Yes, he's a real person. Lived, what is it, I don't know, 500 years ago or so. He went by the name of, he had many different names, but Vlad Tempest, Vlad the Impaler. He was feared by the Ottoman Empire because of his gruesome tactics that he held against his enemies. Where am I? The one thing I wanted to say that was really cool when I went there, the town that he is born in called Bran is now a restaurant, and you can eat there. So you can eat at Dracula's house for lunch if you want to.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to do dinner. I don't think I'd want to go
I
out
love
after
dinner.
dark.
I ate lunch there. It also has a weapons museum with all these sort of ghoulish, gruesome sort of weapons and torture things that they did back then, which is really kind of interesting and just shocking and surprising that someone thought of these intricate ways to you know, inflict pain on someone. Of course, there's castles around. Dracula himself was born in Transylvania, but that's not the area he ruled over. He ruled over Wallachia, which is a neighboring area. So you can explore that area as well and get your Dracula fix. I will say this about Romania in general, because if you're going, you're probably not just going to go to Romania, you're probably going to explore around. It is one of the most beautiful places to travel by train. If you're going, I would travel by train everywhere. It's very green, mountainous. It's one of my favorite train experiences that I've been on. And if you're gonna go, I do recommend going in early October or maybe late September if possible. You're gonna have a better chance of weather and, you know, hopefully less rain during that time.
Awesome. Okay, and then our last destination.
And the last destination is Oaxaca for Dia de los Muertos. Now, I haven't been to Oaxaca, but I have been to Guadalajara for Dia de los Muertos, and it's a really cool experience. And in Oaxaca, they have their own special traditions. It's not the biggest festivals in Mexico, but you know, Mexico City would be that. But you get all this different uniqueness that Oaxaca offers, you know, especially their food. And then, of course, and then just so some people, if they don't know exactly about Dia de los Muertos, it's a celebration to remember those who have passed before you and know where you came from, essentially. And if you watched the movie Coco, I don't know if you have, but it's actually a really good movie, a Disney movie. It's probably my favorite Disney movie in the last 10 years. So I would check it out, and it gives you kind of a taste of what it's all about. But
and that's
more about
not really meant to be spooky, right? It's meant to be more of a remembrance.
Yeah, it is, but it's kind of spooky too, just because, you know, you may visit the cemetery and stuff, and that can be spooky for some people. And then they do these face paintings, which are like sugar skull, skeleton kind of paintings that you do on your face. And so it can be a little creepy, but it's not super creepy or anything. It's more of a traditional, it's a blended holiday with Christian and native Aztec cultures coming together in this sort of blended holiday, if you look up the history of it. So it's really unique, very interesting. Other things that are common with it are marigolds. You'll see marigolds everywhere, bunches of marigolds. You'll see trails of marigolds, which are really cool. They have different tours that they offer during this time frame to understand what the celebrations are all about. Of course, there's festivals and all kinds of things like that. So if you're gonna go to Oaxaca, then this time frame around Dia de los Muertos, which is October 31st through November 2nd, is a really good time to go. But you want to book now for next year.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Spidey.
You're welcome. I'm Peter Parker now.
Yeah. Have a wonderful Halloween. And you guys, thanks to all of our guests today for being here. We thank our show sponsors, Apple Leisure Group, along with our segment sponsors, Sandals and Beaches Resorts. Bryan looks like he's having a great time. FunJet and Apple Vacations, Carnival Cruise Line, and Princess Cruise Line. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the holiday weekend. Get some rest before Sunday, and we'll see you here next week. Thanks so much. Have a great day.